Well, hello everyone. Today is March 28th, 2023, 6 o'clock in the evening. This is our Tuesday night, 6 p.m. Ask the Doctor Anything. I'm Dr. Rita Ellithorpe with Tustin Longevity Center here in Southern California, where we practice integrative functional medicine and have been doing this for myself 41 years. Having been raised by a father in food research, I've been around functional medicine all my life, and that including since I was a little girl. So this is something that is just very, very natural for me. I'm a standard medical doctor working in family practice, and we work with 6 doctors here, and we have gynecologists and Dr. Mitchell, board certified GYN, and Dr. Merrick, she's a medical allopathic doctor as well in GYN, although she is doing many other things besides GYN. And Dr. Kaur is our naturopath, and Dr. Johnson is our other naturopath, and he is doing more men's health now. And the other thing is our physician assistant, PA Patel, is just fantastic. And with myself, and soon, hopefully, we'll have a pediatrician here working with us in natural functional medicine. And we'll see where the Lord will take us. So we want to say, good evening. God bless everyone as we get around the table here to ask our questions. I have many questions here emailed in, and you can go to the link on the bar below here, and you can type in on the show more notes and see the website or the email address where you can type in your question. You could also give us your email, get on our email list, and we'll let you know as each of these come up. And when you get a link there, that'll be a link to let you get in to type in your question. There's a chat box here. If you're on YouTube, you can type your question into the chat. This is not meant to be direct medical advice for anyone. I know many of my patients are involved here because this is a service that we are providing to our patients as well as their family and friends and anybody. And that way you can ask generalized questions over the wide topic of healthcare, and we'll do our best to try and answer them. If I don't know, I'll tell you I don't have the answer. I'm not able to address it, but I will take notes. Sometimes I can look things up and have it for the next week available to you. So with that, we have 3 pages of emailed in questions. If this is of value to your family or your friends, you don't have to be a patient here. You can just be someone interested in this. You can contact us by going to tlcdoctors.com, tlcdoctors.com. That's our website. And you could call us at 714-544-1521. And you could text at that number too if you want more information about the program. But like and subscribe and share this with family and friends if this is of value to you. And so let us begin with a joke. So let's see, what joke will I tell? One of my patients brought this into me this week, and it was so funny. I've told it to several people, and they get a good chuckle out of it. The mermaid was going to go to her math class to improve her arithmetic, and so she wanted to dress up nice. So what did the mermaid wear to her math class? And the answer is she wore her algae bra. Algae bra, get it? So I thought that was very clever. All right, well, with that bit of silliness, let's get to our first question that we have from Bren. Bren is asking, can undertreated Hashimoto thyroid disease cause blood pressure issues, especially diastolic? And when thyroid medicine is properly adjusted, Can blood pressure resume to normal limits in your experience? Thank you. Um, Hashimoto's usually is a acute phenomena where you have the attack to your thyroid of antibodies. This is usually from an autoimmune leaky gut syndrome is the general consensus, but it's an autoimmune disease. And so the initial inflammation creates a storm, a bit of excess thyroid, and you can become hyperthyroid. And that is often associated with a racing heartbeat, anxiety, diarrhea. You either see your doctor or go to the emergency room and they see the high elevated T3, which is the free T3, the active thyroid hormone. And then they see the antibodies and then they realize your thyroid is inflamed. That is associated often with elevated blood pressures. But often the vast majority calms down. So this initial inflammation will go away, just like a tonsillitis will go away. You had the itis of your tonsils and it ended. You could have the itis of your thyroid and it calms down. And then that high blood pressure and that inflammation does go down. And hypothyroidism tends to have a phase where there's lower blood pressure and lower heart rate and weight gain. Now, if it's not chronically addressed, then the thyroid will be underactive, you'll gain weight, your cholesterol can go up, your glucose and metabolism can slow down, and you can develop insulin sensitivity, resistance rather, and gain weight and get blood pressure from those kind of problems with the slower metabolism. But my experience is Hashimoto thyroid disease is not something that evolves into high blood pressure issues per se. So I think it's a separate but different track. And so I'm going to say no, Bren. I really don't think that's related. Those are two different things. And your doctor, if they're a good doctor, they're going to figure that out. Bren also asked the question, are the TSH numbers more or just as important as free T4 numbers when determining thyroid replacement medications? Are TSH numbers really that important? My answer to that is I don't think the TSH is important at all. I really only order it because most people are so addicted to looking at thyroid stimulating hormone, TSH. If I have a patient who I am giving thyroid replacement to, that thyroid hormone is the cytomel or the liothyronine. That's the free T3, the free T3. The precursor is the free T4. But you have to go through a step to convert free T4 into the active hormone thyroid of free T3. So no, I don't think free T4 is that important either. It is the active free T3. So if I only had one thing to get and to save my patients money, I would just order the free T3. And I don't really care what the free T4 is or the TSH. And I just think being a good clinician and checking on your patients and doing a good exam, they're checking their heart and they're asking about their diarrhea and their energy, and a good clinician should be able to figure out if they're managing you well without a lot of fancy labs. But it is the free T3 that I need, liothyronine. Okay. Amela says, hi, Dr. Rita. My 17-year-old daughter developed a hard lump in her cheek after the wisdom teeth removal. We went back to the dentist and he drained it. It's a little smaller now, but still there 3 weeks after surgery. She developed an infection after the surgery and was put on strong antibiotics. What can I do to help her? Well, it doesn't. Where was the lump? Was the lump in the sublingual gland, submandibular? Was it in the gum line? Was it in the area of infection? So knowing that would be interesting help. Fasting always stimulates repair and growth and reorganization. You could go on a fast taking high dose of enzymes, the systemic enzyme, vitalzyme, or vascuzyme. So being on a water fast for 2 days will always help build up the fight against infection. It will always help with inflammation, and it will always help enzymes to chew up abnormal accumulations of cellular debris, pus, and that kind of material. So that's what I would do, and that's how I would help her. Tara says, "Hi, Dr. Rita. We have discovered a mold problem in our house. What are your thoughts on mold and the dangers of it to the body and mind, as well as how do you treat mold toxicity in addition to having heavy metals present as well? Thank you." Tara, mold toxicity is very complex. There are many types of molds and many sources for this, but usually it's a water damaged home. And that really should be a part when getting the history on your patients, is to figure out where they've lived and what kind of stresses they've been under. And many people usually will describe their situation. Often when I have well, I rarely see a doctor, but if anyone were to ask me about my history, I grew up in a one-room basement home. And we had very little ventilation, and there was a sump pump, for the water. And we had a pot belly and a fireplace. So I think that there was probably a high risk of mold exposure there as well. And this can create, toxins plus the mold issue itself. A good remedial cleaning, drying out, getting the plants out, getting the rugs out, taking away curtains, moving to, wooden shades. I don't know what you call those things, but things that are not cloth, to get away any of the items that would be the dust that would hold the spores. And then you would have to go with a doctor who is familiar with testing, and there are various unique sites to this. Infectious disease doctors are trained in mold and mold remediation and mold treatment. So I would be remiss to tell you that I am a specialist in mold treatment. I am not, but I think the whole lifestyle approach that we do and the the attention we spend on your environment is beneficial. But if you truly are having, symptoms associated with it, and they're kind of universal, autonomic, dysfunctional, parasympathetic, dysfunctional symptoms of brain fog, fatigue, exertional fatigue, myalgias, paresthesias, headaches, blurred vision problems, restless legs, insomnia, and then various skin rashes. So these are very non-specific, non-definitive types of symptoms. And it takes a while to work through this. I did recently a review training in mold and mold toxicity training. Let me see if I can see the book on that I used. Yeah, that's called, it's called Break the Mold. Break the Mold. And that's the name of the book and the course. And this is a naturopathic doctor, Dr. Jill Krista, Crista. And she does a wonderful job in here with many questions and areas of concern to walk you through the whole tracking and testing and what you want in a doctor. But this is a course I just recently did, and I have to say she did a very fine job. You can get her program online and go through it. I think doctors who are serious about trying to help people with mold should be familiar with Dr. Jill Krista naturopath work and her book called Break the Mold. So, Tara, that's the direction I would go in. I don't want to represent myself as anywhere near as competent as Dr. Jill Krista, but I think she's up in Washington State. So there are, I think, another place in this local area here is called Restoration Health. And one of the doctors who used to work here, Dr. Faraj, F-A-R-A-J-A, Faraj. He is at Restoration Health in Irvine or Mission Viejo, Restoration Health, and they do work with a lot of mold patients. And this is where I got the tip on this book and the help that I'm doing. So maybe that would be a help to you, Tara, is try out Restoration Health and look at this book and see if you can work with that. Now, heavy metals are a unique toxin. We all have them because they drop down on us out of the sky. Just the other day, about a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks now, Dan Wigington from geoengineeringwatch.org gave a speech about a retired environmental scientist who does testing still, and he sampled the recent snowfall in Mount Shasta, and that Mount Shasta snowfall that is fresh had 161,000 parts per billion. That's 161,000 parts per billion of the aluminum that was in the fresh snow on top of Mount Shasta. The airplanes and those lines and fake clouds you see in the sky, these chemtrails are in fact chemical trails with nanoparticulate aluminum oxide, strontium oxide, barium oxide, and we are all being exposed to these heavy metal nanoparticulate materials. That is suspended into the atmosphere, and then they kind of float and travel in the jet stream, and then they can bounce radio waves off of it, heating it up and manipulate the atmospheric pressures, highs and lows. They can affect weather trends that way. So this has been going on for many decades, and the aluminum lands on the forest, it dries up, then aluminum's a incendiary, and so a fire that starts will explode and rapidly expand with aluminum film that's out there. And so when you say and bring up heavy metal discussions into the conversation about mold, yes, it's there. We all have it. And that is what I have really emphasized is since every single one of us has the heavy metals in us, from eating it, from drinking it, from breathing it in, we must all have a program and training. The American College for the Advancement of Medicine does this training at least annually every November, but I think they're going to have another program this May for doctors who want to do the certification. I think they just contacted me to do another online teaching course to help doctors get trained and certified. It's not difficult, and it's quite needed. So go to acam.org and learn about this training for heavy metal detoxification with ethylene diamine tetracetic acid. Okay. The next question is, John, I am a 65-year-old male having an issue with urgency to urinate. It seems to be more of a problem as the day progresses. I'm 140 pounds. I drink 90 ounces of water each day. Well, half of 140 pounds is 70. And so 70 ounces would be the amount of water. So you might right there be drinking a little excess, which would put increased pressure on your urinary tract system to eliminate it. I urinate 1 to 2 times a night. PSA is 0.7. Any advice? Um, if you are able to go right back to sleep, and if you are able to feel refreshed when you wake up in the morning, and I don't see any problem with getting up once or at most twice a night to urinate. With a normal PSA like that, you might allow yourself not to drink as much water towards the end of the day. Maybe make the last amount of water you drink, say around 5 o'clock, and then maybe you would only wake up once to urinate. The other thing is having pumpkin seeds, raw pumpkin seeds that are not roasted. These raw pumpkin seeds have in it the salt palmetto, which acts as a enzyme inhibitor from the conversion processes that testosterone goes through. And that is very common in a lot of these male prostate shrinking over-the-counter supplements. And yet, if you just ate about 2 tablespoons of raw pumpkin seeds, that might be enough of itself without paying for fancy bottling and packaging. But I don't think there's anything more beyond what you're saying. Just cut back on your 90 ounces of water and see how that goes. I would see a doctor, John, and get your estradiol run. Find out what your serum estradiol is. Find out what your serum testosterone is, that kind of stuff. Demetra says, hello, beautiful Dr. Ellithorpe. Well, thank you so much, Demetra. Glad to see you are feeling better. Yes, I am much better. My little grandchildren, I have a 2-year-old and then a newborn baby, maybe about 5 months old and well over 2.5 years old. And they got the little coffee sniffles. And of course, Grandma can't keep her hands and kisses off of them. So I hugged and kissed them to pieces every weekend when I can babysit them. And then I got a little cough after that myself. But thank you for asking, Demetra. And my question is, can you please tell us your approach to the workup of a pediatric patient for iron deficiency anemia? Is there an iron supplement for kids you recommend? I looked at the orthomolecular website and only found the activated iron supplement, but is a capsule form and maybe not palatable for kids. True. Is there a chewable or liquid brand you recommend? Thanks and God bless. I believe iron assimilation and metabolism is being very much affected by the corrupted food system that we're feeding our children today, whether it's the grain systems that are glyphosated and they're genetically modified and they're processed, and we are eating a ultra processed with trans fatty acids in them, creating a chronic bowel impact to the microbiome. So the good bacteria in the gut are just not being populated as well, and many of our children are being born by C-section, and that is a very possible mechanism for not having good seeded probiotics. They're eating so much processed food, they're not getting the fiber and the prebiotics and the insoluble fiber that the good bacteria need to eat to survive and help process, with vitamin assimilation and absorption of our minerals. And so this is now a very complex thing rather than just saying to get iron into them. I think we have damaged gut linings in our children. Therefore, I would begin with the most common things that make them improve. And one of them is if the child is, 3, 4, 5, 6 years old, let's say 50 pounds or less, these children need vitamin D, and I would give them vitamin D3, 2,000 international units, then do a blood level a month later and see how much 2,000 international units of D3, and I would try and get it with K2, MK7. And if that vitamin D level is 80, you have to get it to about the 80 range with these kids. Do a chemistry panel to check the liver enzymes because it's a fat soluble and vitamin D is fat soluble. If you look at the liver enzymes and they're all normal, then having an 80 level on the vitamin D on the lab is a healthy level. Why that? Because vitamin D3 is very beneficial in gut health for absorption and assimilation of minerals and nutrients. And so it might actually be a vitamin D chronic deficiency, not so much finding the perfect iron. In fact, you may not need the iron if you can get the child to eat real meat and real chicken and real fish and real pork and items like that. Iron in their food is the best source and the most nutrient dense kind of food. The other thing is having B vitamins, vitamin B complex, all 8 of the B complex, and the most important of these is probably pantothenic acid, which is vitamin B5. Not a high dose, but a good methylated B complex, and that's water soluble. So it's so easy to put methyl B complex, moderate, mild doses into a liquid and have them drink it. We have what is called ATP Ignite, and that's a methylated B complex packet you put in water. And I would just, in a child, use a third of a packet or half a packet with their liquid vitamin D drops with K2 and check the levels in a month or so with their iron and ferritin and see if actually their gut biome has improved by them avoiding this junk food and eating real food, using D with B vitamins. And that helps synergistically support gut repair. We do have a powdered phospholipid and a powdered SBI Protect protein, which are immunoglobulin proteins that are very beneficial in helping heal the gut. And so that is the direction I would go in because I'm sure they need the gut healing anyway. And rather than looking down the aisle as if we're allopathic doctors looking for a bullet or a very special iron, I think it's healing the lining of the gut. So that's the way I do it. And there you go. Kimberly says, hi, Dr. Ellithorpe. Thank you so much for answering our questions. Your wisdom is appreciated. Well, thank you for being a part of the family here, Kimberly. We're the Tustin Longevity Center Health Freedom Tribe. So I have 2 questions. Number 1, my mother is a healthy, vibrant 73-year-old with no chronic conditions. Her GP, general practitioner, insists she needs a shingles vaccination because of her age. I'm trying to talk her out of it because I don't believe in these vaccines. Are my concerns substantiated, and what information can I provide her so she can make the best decisions? I like to use examples. If you found a company or a group of people operating a criminal syndicate that has been exposed by law enforcement, brought to trial, and found guilty that their action of their business harmed their customers, and even some of them died, many of them died, and they just were given a fine rather than prison sentences, so that the entire staff of the company didn't have to go suffer anything other than to pay maybe billions even in dollars of fines for harming, injuring, and killing people, manslaughter. And then they have been found again and again to do these kind of things. Why do you think another product that they make would be considered safe and effective if their practices were poor science and cover up of data that led to the harm and injury and death of many people who use their services? And I'm talking about the pharmaceutical industry in general, without naming any one of them, but multiple of these groups have the same history where they're found pushing a product or drug, and the drug then is found to be associated with multiple deaths. And then finally, after years of lawsuits and freedom of information action, and then lawyers pursuing, it's finally discovered that their internal information found they were in fact aware of the risks they were taking with their pharmaceutical product, but they thought the risk was worth the great profits they were making. And so if 50, 60,000 people died, it was just the cost of their doing business. So they get fined, and they were found guilty, and there's no change in leadership or anyone at the helm, and they just go on to their next merry project. So I'm a doctor, and I'm trying to take care of my patients, and I have to ask the question, why would I recommend the use of any of the medications from these businesses that are fined multiple billions of dollars for manslaughter and unlawful deaths without anyone being held criminally culpable or spending a day in jail? So I don't trust, and I think we have lost the trust that we once had in our institutions of are the colleges and their board of regents or directors, and our professorships and our newspapers, the CDC, the NIH, the Human Health Services. All these great institutions now have egg on their face. Great journals like the Lancet, the New England Journal of Medicine, JAMA, they have had such horrible retractions of false data being published over the past 3 years, and the concern of the pandemic, that I and many of my colleagues have lost our faith and in the purveyors of making these drugs and their other products, in the training and the media promotion of this. So I cannot bring myself to recommend usage of this because it's in my opinion, it fits the definition, in my humble opinion, of a criminal international crime syndicate. So no, I wouldn't take it. And we're paying our taxes, and it's turning into an old buddies organization where Fauci would have control of these tons of billions of dollars for research. And I tried to get involved in this with my own new drug investigation to help humanity. But you see, I'm not in the club, and mine is I tried to do the suppositories for EDTA as a new investigational drug, and spent hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to develop this. It was doing great good things. And long and the short of it was quashed. And I realized it was a club, and it wasn't about health. It wasn't about reducing all-cause mortality. It wasn't about helping the health and the circulation and basic things, because nobody could make a grand profit on this. Nobody could make tons of money on this. It would have just been a great help to humanity. And so, no, I don't support this method of taxing me to pay for research that will give researchers in the club at the CDC and the FDA royalties of those scientists there, and then they get to be put on boards of these companies that are the pharmaceuticals. It's nepotism. It's a criminal crime syndicate, in my opinion. Her second question is, I'm 53 and I've been in menopause for 2 years. I had my last menstrual cycle over 2 years ago, so you are postmenopausal. I have a 8 millimeter fibroid, which is very small, which has been shrinking since my cycle stopped. I began bioidentical hormone treatment 1 year ago. A week ago, I started cramping and bleeding similar to a regular menstrual cycle. I continue to bleed. Could this be caused by feeding estrogen to the fibroid? Dr. Kaur has ordered an ultrasound, so I should know more next week. Thank you, but wanted to get your opinion as I am now concerned. Now, the lining of your uterus is designed to respond to estradiol and hormones. All of your body, your skin, your hair, your muscles, your heart, your bones, your nervous system, all parts of your body are designed to have receptors for estradiol, progesterone, vitamin D, cannabinoids, acetylcholine, all over the place. So we're designed to have these receptors. And the lining of the uterus can also be stimulated by insulin. Is your insulin above 4 in a fasted state? Are you as concerned about your bread, starch, pasta, cracker, bagels, nuts, seeds, yams, potatoes, rice, beans, which all stimulate insulin? That will make a fibroid grow. That will make any tumor grow. That's what makes skin tags grow as we get older on our body, because healing and repair of the skin becomes disorganized with aging. And insulin is one of the most powerful growth stimulating hormones and can make a fibroid grow as well. So let's not blame our natural estradiol. If you have hormone levels that are measured, and these hormone levels are in reasonable ranges, and your doctor and you check it as needed once or twice a year, maybe more often until you get into a steady state, and balanced with progesterone, because I believe if you use estradiol, you should also use the progesterone that God gave us as well. But you have to have your insulin checked too, and you have to be advised by your doctor to be exercising, drinking water, not eating late, be on a lower carb or an intermittent fasting style of living, and check all these things together, and then go from there. So it is way, way, way beyond just the name called estradiol. Now, there's a wonderful book out there that would be helpful in this, and that's called, the title is Estrogen Matters. I don't have the book here, but the name of the book is Estrogen Matters. If you go on to our website, tlcdoctors.com, and you go to our video section, you'll see about 3 years ago, our gynecologist, Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Merrick, both were, it was entitled to Mitchell and Dr. Merrick, both were, it was entitled Two Gynecologists Discuss Hormone Treatment. But it's two gynecologists, and you'll see Mitchell and Merrick there. And they have a beautiful review of the book when it came out, and no, estradiol is not considered to be the cause. Hormones are not the cause of any cancers or anything like that. We should be looking at our lifestyle and eating indiscriminately too many carbs. Okay, so the next question is, Brenda, what causes wax buildup in the ears, and what is the best way to decrease this? Well, if you keep on jiggling your ear and digging at it with, pencils or toothpicks or Q-tips or your fingernail or your little finger, you're wiggling the canal, and the canal itself has little hairs that come down and all around it, so that God put those there so that God, let's say, God forbid, a little bug tried to crawl in your ear at night while you're sleeping, it would jiggle one of those hairs. And with the jiggling of that hair, that is the stimulus for wax secretion to occur, and that bug would not be able to survive being stuck in wax. Now, if you're always jiggling at your ear, you're going to be making all this wax. Normally, at the rate it's made, this wax dries and flakes out over time. So the more you go after wax in your ear, the more it's a catch-22 that you'll make it, and you cannot win that war. So I would suggest, if, I don't know who the person is or how bad it is, there's always a bell curve somewhere, 4 standard deviations on either side. So if you have tons of wax and you need the help of your ear, nose, and throat or a specialist to help you clear it out, then you have to do it. But the vast majority of us, if we'll just not stick anything ever in our ears, it will dry up and flake out on its own. Constance, no question, just a simple message. America, bless God. I like that message, Constance. We're always saying, God bless America. But she is saying, America, bless God. And we do that. It says in the Bible that we were created for His pleasure, and for His pleasure we were created. And so, as children of the Lord, we should want to make Him happy. And what does He require of us? That we fear Him with a respectful fear, not a terrorizing fear. Just like you have a proper fear of your mother and father, you want to please them, and therefore you want to follow their instructions, obey mom and dad. And so we should bless God, America, and do that through putting a discipline on ourselves and read His Word, learn what He wants us to know, learn how well adjudicated, how great are His judgments, wise are His decisions, how fantastic are His instructions, and His mercy endureth forever, and how loving and forgiving He is. But He has the authority and the righteousness to exact a judgment and punishment and to judge things. So He's provided for the solution. He paid for all our sins, sending His own Son, Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, to die for all our sins, and to appropriate that adjudicated benefit and to have Him intercede for you as your intercessor or your lawyer, so to say. All you have to do is say, I'm a sinner bound for hell. Forgive me, Lord. I believe your Son Jesus died for my sins. He was sinless and rose again from the dead after 3 days, and He paid for all our sins. And then now He's alive bodily and arose bodily and sits at your right hand, ever making intercession for the saints. So let's be America, bless God. I like that, Constance. Thank you very much. Lexi says, is there anything I can do to stop cataracts or reverse damage? And that is with the things we talk about here, Lexi, like, for instance, we use Juice Plus, probably the most researched nutraceutical out there that's a powerful antioxidant is the Juice Plus fruits, vegetables, and berries. There are 30 different fruits, vegetables, and berries that are flash frozen, spectrophoramorphically screened for any organic pesticide, fungicide, pesticide in there. They are dried. The sugar is rinsed out, and so it's just left with the phytonutrient concentrant, and it has been tested on DNA damage, reduction, cardiac risk factors, improving immune function, improving children's health. In fact, the children still get it for free for 4 years. So Juice Plus is probably the best antioxidant with high amounts of carotenoids, retinoic acid stuff, lutein, zeaxanthins that are now being discussed by our ophthalmologists. But I'm telling you, almost 30 years ago, we were discussing these facts when it was laughed at by the physician population. I'm glad that many of the physicians today are learning to listen. And I'm so pleased. At 70 now, I go to see my ophthalmologist. And again, he's so pleased. He doesn't see that aging in my eyes or the eyes of my patients. He loves my patients because they have such youthful eyes. The cataracts stay preserved. EDTA chelation is very important to us prevent cataracts because that improves microcirculation. And if you have healthy circulation and oxygenation, you're not going to be burning the proteins of the lens of your eyes as much. So we're all cooking at 98.6 degrees. We are all slowly cooking, and therefore the proteins can get chunky and clogged up, and that's called cataract, that's called arthritis, that's called degenerative joint disease, and on and on. That's called the lipofuscin brown spots on your skin. That's the oxidation burning of these things. So yeah, I would say EDTA chelation on a routine basis, good antioxidants, a very, very low carb diet, drinking lots of purified filtered water, half your weight is pounds a day, exercising, getting a good night's sleep, probably some natural hormone replacement, and then seeing a doctor who checks your insulin, your sedimentation, your HSCRP, inflammatory markers as needed, your sticky sugar levels, your fructose or fructosamine sticky sugars, those are the fruit sugars, and watches those things out for you while he's chelating you and telling you not to eat late at night and to let your tummy be empty so your body can work on healing you. So those are the things I would do for cataracts. Okay, the next page is Maryland. And Maryland says, it's been 5 years since I moved from California and I really miss TLC. Well, Maryland, we miss you too. I haven't found anything close here. I have long resisted a colonoscopy as I never really had any bowel problem issues. I still don't, and I'm 76 now. I am considering a colonic to clean myself out. I've been taking good probiotics, probilin, and I will continue with it. Also, I am hearing that ionic foot baths can remove some heavy metals. What do you think? Marilyn, there are heavy metals in the skin, and I just don't trust these ionic baths. I just don't see a certificate of, controlled trials, clinical research on it. I didn't make a heavy study on this. I didn't invest my time. I'm so involved in 100 other things. I just have never seen the ionic baths do anything. And I'm so familiar with chemistry and the reactions of heavy metals and reduction oxidation that I could see easily how you could have a change in the color of the water, the fluidity of it, all this kind of stuff with many other things other than a metal coming out of your feet that way. So I don't have respect for it. I would love to be wrong. I could be wrong, but I don't think anyone has proven it. So unfortunately, the gold standards remains EDTA chelation therapy and peeing it out. I think you can ground yourself. I do believe in going outside and walking on the beach where the salt water will be a nice earth electric energetic electron discharge. I believe standing on a patch of wet grass and in your bare feet, that can do the exact same thing as being on the beach. So if we would walk with our bare feet every day, a little bit of the mildew, the moisture, and that would be helpful. But yeah, I just really think that I just don't see those foot ionic baths removing heavy metals. It needs to be researched. See, all this money that's billions and billions Fauci's been on, we couldn't get $1 million to do, 500 patients and do some simple studies. Give me a break. No, they don't want that knowledge. They don't want to know it. Okay. All right. Simone says, "Hi, Dr. Rita. My daughter is 36 years old and has very painful periods. She got off birth control pills 2 months ago and decided to try progesterone cream, Kokoro, which did not go well with her. She felt irritable, moody, and broke out with acne. She is B negative. She just had blood work done, didn't fast. Her progesterone was 6.09. So that if she was on the cream, that could have been from the cream, or she ovulated. Testosterone was 0.39 to total testosterone 14, and her estradiol was 83. Yeah, that could be normal. The doctor told her that her progesterone level was way too high and to stop using the cream. That's absolute idiocy. I can't believe that they would say a 6.09 progesterone level is too high. That's foolishness. What are your thoughts on these numbers? Thank you for your input. Well, I think all her numbers sounded good. You know, it would have been interesting. She's 36. What part of the cycle was she in? That would have been interesting. What day of her cycle? You know, day one is the first day you menstruate. Okay, so there are some women, very rare, but there are some women that just don't tolerate exogenous natural progesterone. Well, it just is what it is. And I don't know everything. I'm not God. And I just don't know which woman will be that woman who is sensitive to progesterone. So, women ovulate, they make their own progesterone. If you eat butter and fat with cholesterol in it, some of the first cleavages we do, hydrolyzation of that cholesterol in the butter or the fat, makes your pregnenolone, DHEA, which goes on to be processed into our hormones, progesterone, estradiol, testosterone, things like that. And so I don't think we understand why that is. And I wish I could. And Simone, I just don't have the answer on that. And that'll be something I'll have to ask God when I get to heaven. Just try to figure that out, because this has plagued me for more than 35 years of doing natural hormone. Why there's that tiny, tiny percentage of women that seems to be so sensitive to outside extra progesterone. And it could be she's putting it on at the wrong time. I would only be using the progesterone day 15 of her cycle, 15 days from the day one of her period to the 25th. So she should only be using Kokoro from day 15 to 25. That's when, if she ovulated, that's when it would normally show up. So if she's taking it at other times during the cycle, that could be one of the reasons why she reacted poorly. But that's my thoughts on that. Harlow says, "Hello, Dr. Rita. God bless you, my sweet sister." Yes, thank you. I have thyroiditis and 2 benign nodules. My doctor is talking about iodine uptake, and surgery, or killing the half of a thyroid I have left. My levels are hyper, so meds are methimazole are also an option. What are your thoughts? Well, I like methimazole. I really do like that. But again, I am not the specialist. I am not an oncologist. If they think that those nodules in your thyroid have potential cancerous or activity that they need to be quieted down immediately, you have to work with the knowledge that you have. I don't know exactly what's going on with you, or I'm not going to give you personal advice on what to do. But if I had my brothers, I do like methimazole. After a colonoscopy, is it normal to be left with bloating, gases, and belly pain even after 2 weeks? I would say no. Is my natural flora gone? I've been taking probiotics. Anything else I can take? Thank you. I would check my vitamin D levels, as I'm doing more research on vitamin D effect on the microbiome in your gut, and the impact of the modest dosing of the B complex, in particular B5 pyridoxine, and eating, foods that have fiber and insoluble fibers in it. So you feed your own bacteria like artichokes and um, inulin-rich foods that are in. It's just escaping my mind right now. I know artichokes have it in it, but those are the prebiotic insoluble fibers. And that's what I think would be beneficial. But if it bugs you, you have to be seen by a doctor and have that addressed. Harlow says a person with liver cancer that spread to the colon and now has carcinomatosis, meningitis, and chemo, can they come back from this, or is this it's a really bad outcome? Yes, Harlow, it's really bad. Is it possible to come back? I have seen the miraculous happen, and I have seen stage 4 colon cancers do come back. Why isn't research money going to that in billions of dollars as well, instead of individual chemotherapy drug? Well, you know the answer to that. It's a racket. So yes, I've seen tremendous things happen. So I never give up hope. Debbie says, hi. What can you tell us about grounding or earthing where you are barefoot on the grass? I hear it's supposed to be very healthy and healing. What are your thoughts about its benefits? Thank you, little sister. Blessing always. Hey, Debbie, my sister. Well, we are electrochemical beings, and we have to pass on our electrons. They're in a constant swing and synergy in our body. And these are making messages to build and repair and produce new molecules. And these electron flow patterns can get built up, and we can become full of excess negative ion electrons. And that negativity can create havoc to our health if we don't have a discharging and a flow cycle for electrons that are excessive. And one of the ways to do that is to take your shoes off and to go outside on the wet grass in the morning and let your feet get into the soft, wet grass and stand there and wiggle your toes in the grass and kind of walk around on that wet grass for a few minutes. And that's called grounding. You've discharged into the earth your negative ions. If you swim in the saltwater ocean, you do it. Now, saltwater pools don't do that because there isn't a connection with the earth, because it's all wrapped up and insulated in the pool system. So you have to be on the earth and dirt, or you have to be on the sand in the ocean where this is happening. And that is the whole idea of the electron flow, of the vibrational medicine. Healing is electrical in every bit of the word, and you have to be a bit of an electrician to be a doctor to help people. So, and then the last page is this one here. Hi, Dr. Ellithorpe. I was wondering what form of iodine is best for breast health and breast cancer prevention. Well, there is the reduced and the oxidized form, iodine, and iodine in the form of iodoral and iThroid are the two products we use. It is a 12.5 milligram capsule, iThroid, and it's a 12.5 milligram tablet, iodoral, and that's the iodine, both the oxidized and unoxidized form, as 12.5 milligrams. Most people need to take about 12.5 to 25 milligrams a day. And you can get a 24-hour urine collection of urine with a challenge test where you take 50 milligrams and you collect all your urine. And then in that 24 hours, you took all 4 tablets. 4 times 12.5 is 50 milligrams. And then we see how much you peed out. If you don't pee out a lot of that iodine, then your body was so deficient in iodine, it held on to it all, or most of it. And that's how we know you're deficient. Lynn says, hi, Dr. Rita. What are your feelings on adding testosterone to my estradiol and progesterone. I'm 63. I've been off my hormones a few years due to moving out of state. Did not have testosterone previously, but new doctor wants to add it. I'm all in favor of testosterone, and one of the ways I like to make it available is through using DHEA, dihydro epiandrosterone, DHEA. And DHEA, 25 milligrams, 50 milligrams, 10 milligrams, 5 milligrams, that is converted in a woman into testosterone. And I'm all in favor of it, so you can work on building your muscles up. So yeah, go ahead and add it, Lynn. And then always have it tested. Veronica says, I was diagnosed with high liver enzymes. Should I be concerned? And how can I treat this condition? I also have hypothyroid. Okay, so I'm going to say drinking alcohol is one of the causes. Viral illnesses, hepatitis A, hepatitis B, hepatitis C. And then probably one of the more common ones today is our diet high in carbs, where people are getting these fatty livers, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and the fructose in these high fructose corn syrup, juices and soda pops and drinks that have high fructose corn syrup in it. It's all processed in the liver, and it promotes uric acid formation, gout, arthritis, hyperlipidemia. It promotes high LDL. It promotes the uric acid, I said, and enzymes damage. So what would I do? I would go on lipoic acid, alpha lipoic acid, and I would take 600 milligrams probably twice a day. I would totally avoid everything with fructose in it. No fruit, no juice, no soda pops, no candy, no sugar, because half of the molecule of sugar, cane sugar, it's a dimer, two molecules. One's glucose, the other's fructose. And the fructose is really the one that's doing the greatest amount of harm, promoting fatty liver disease. And it's harming our children, and our children are in the highest ever experience of gastroenterologists and surgeons of getting liver transplants, because we're giving our kids, our grandkids, apple juice and orange juice and soda pops and all these sugar treats. And we're training these kids to become addicted to fructose that is processed just like alcohol in the liver, and training them to become little addicts to it. So that's how I would look at that. And yes, I would recheck your liver enzymes in a month, and they should be coming down immediately. So let's go to our chat group here. Let's see if I can't get a bit of this question done here. We have on the chat group, Christina said, the other day I had a small coffee, later ate one egg, but while I was eating, I started feeling weird, like a panic attack, rapid heart rate, shaky, sweaty. It went away later. What are your thoughts on that? Well, it could have been anything, Christina. It could have been the coffee. God forbid there was the egg was not, clean or something. You would have to see this pattern come and go in cycles, and see your doctor about it. An isolated episode like that, I wouldn't make much of, especially if it went away a little while after that. But if it's a pattern, see your doctor. Jennifer, for a friend regarding uterine cysts, do you think fibrinolytic enzymes would work for dermoids, fibroids? Yes. Do you have any other recommendations? Yeah, very low carb diet, intermittent fasting. Progesterone blocks the estrogen stimulation of fibroid growth. Enzymes help chew them up. Blocking with a very low carb lifestyle, going carnivore like, will stop the insulin stimulation of fibroids. Drinking plenty of water, getting a good night's sleep, and then doing another pelvic ultrasound and tracking them in 4 to 6 months is how I would do it. Debbie says, I have a joke for you. Okay. Does an apple a day keep the doctor away? Answer, only if you aim it well enough. Okay, Debbie, yes. All right. Yes, that's good. Keep me away, Debbie. Throw apples at me when I come and see you and Elise. All right, Leah says, my friend is going to have a C-section next week and was wondering about help getting her milk going good. She learned that C-section makes it difficult to get it going. Well, I think that's a lot of hype. I don't think that's going to be the problem. If she's drinking lots of water, and I really mean, if she's, let's say, with the pregnancy, she's weighing up to 150, 160 pounds, maybe more. She's got to be drinking 80 ounces, 96 ounces a day of water. And I would be taking probiotics because they're doing the surgery. They're probably going to give her antibiotics. And I would eat as much meat, fish, chicken, turkey, beef to raise up her protein levels so she can heal well. And I just think if she was on Juice Plus, she would get a powerful antioxidant. She needs to be on vitamin D, at least 5,000 international units a day. She needs to be on a good, complete multivitamin mineral once a day. And then after the C-section, she can start systemic enzymes, which are anti-inflammatory, and that really helps the milk let down. I had C-sections, unfortunately, and I used probiotics and water and enzymes, and I had no trouble breastfeeding. Christina, that was a good joke. Yeah. Yes. Debbie, thank you. All right. Linda says, hi, Dr. Rita. I had a watery, wavy lines in my left eye on the left of the retina. It went away, but now my left gland is swollen right under my ear. What could that be? Well, I would have to see, and there's many things, but these glands back here are post-auricular lymph nodes. They are draining your scalp and your hair and your follicles and all the bacteria and stuff that can get into your hair roots and stuff like that. So it should go away, and I wouldn't be rubbing it. The more you rub it, you just get a reactive inflammation from it. If it doesn't go away with a healthy diet, fasting, enzymes, lots of water, not eating late, and go away within the month, then I would have a doctor check it. But these are post-auricular lymph nodes, and they're supposed to be there, and they should go away in a month or 6 weeks. Let's see, Tara says, I have tried the water fast for detox and brain healing, but I always feel so much more disoriented when I fast. Do you push through that, or is that the body telling you fasting is not beneficial for you? Tara, in general, I push through it. And for most people, we just have to push through it. But I wouldn't want to tell you, I can talk to my patients and I know what's going on. I don't know if you're an insulin-dependent diabetic or what your personal situation is. You have to work with your doctor and know that if you're in general good health, you can work through a 2-day, 3-day fast. We're all designed to be able to do that. So I tell you that's probably a detox withdrawal phenomena. Do you believe in vaccinating pets? No, I don't. Veronica says, good question. Oh, okay. I just read that Parkinson's symptoms can be reversed with vitamin B1 thiamine. What are your thoughts? No, it's much more complex than that. And that would be too long. Not at the end here. I'm trying to rush through these. I wonder if the person talking about bloating after colonoscopy just started the probiotics. I didn't realize the need to start low and slow with probiotics, and my daughter complained of bloating also. Yeah, you could overdo it post colonoscopy. Yeah. Nerdcore 1984. Hello. To your knowledge, does ivermectin and HCQ help treat colorectal cancer that has metastasized to the lungs? My sister's husband was just diagnosed and looking at some options. I have just been reading. I was talking with my oncologist I work with here, Dr. Tariq Mahmood, new lung cancer diagnosis, and we agreed that we're going to put her on high-dose vitamin C, the low-carb diet, and the ivermectin. So yes, there is very interesting research and stuff that needs to be done in this with very encouraging potential. Now, I don't want to give you false hope, but I think it's reasonable to look at that, yes. And it can be done parallel to other more standard therapies, yeah. And Garden Fairy, I have the same problem with my colon, okay. They told you to try a butyrine postbiotic gastrointestinal. Butyrine is the short chain fatty acid, butyric acid, and these short chains are very important in gut health. And so there are enemas of this kind of stuff. So you can get this over the counter. And let's see, Nerdcore saw the study for the dog dewormer, that heals cancer. Okay, so we went about 10 minutes over, so praise the Lord. I need to get some rest for another day of work. I worked all day today, so I have to be up for my workout in the morning. I want to say thank you. If this is beneficial to you, please leave a comment, subscribe, share with a friend, and leave us a comment, and we will see you next week on Tuesday. Remember at the bottom, look at the show notes, and then we will show you the website for typing in your questions or in the chat box here. And until next week, I say happy Easter. I think that will be, well, we have had Easter. No, I think it's going to be right before Easter, or maybe it's right after. I think it's April 9th is when Easter is. But anyway, we'll find out. Well, God bless everyone. Be safe.